Live from Central Kentucky's WCYN studios, you're listening to Quarantainment, a live entertainer's response to COVID-19. Each week, we interview industry professionals from around the world and gain insights into how they're coping with the adverse effects of the coronavirus and creatively adapting to the new normal. Without any further ado, it's my pleasure to welcome to the proverbial stage award-winning illusionist, escape artist, actor, your host, and creator of the Quarantainment podcast. This is Reed Masterson.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Quarantainment, the socially distant podcast. My name's Reed Masterson, and this is episode 8. On this week's episode, I'm hanging out with none other than Las Vegas headliner, reality TV star, the man with the hair, the one known as Murray, the celebrity magician. What's up, man? How are you?
How are you, buddy? How's life?
Busy? Well, yeah, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Yeah, keeping busy. Mowing my yard, that's been fun. I haven't done that in a long time, so it's it's just and the next door neighbor lady's yard too, so it's
good. We can cut them all probably. I know. I've
$15 a week.
So much. I've gardened so much this year. My backyard is so great in Vegas. It's it's a desert, so you in my backyard looks like you're in the middle of Oklahoma. I've got trees and grass, and I have no more dirt to plant anything else. I'm bored, so I'm just buying stuff to plant. It's something to do. So
yeah, that's actually one of my better half, Ashton. That's one of her favorite things is to raise a garden. So we usually don't get to. We have in the past a couple times, and so this year, obviously, we have all the time in the world. So it's she's got tomato plants and bell peppers and zucchinis and a few different other things. I think she's actually at the store right now buying some kind of potting soil or something for some other plant that she's doing. So she's
nice.
That's we understand. Hey, it's sometimes it's good. Sometimes these times that we don't plan for are a blessing in disguise. In some ways, more than others. So it's if you can see the good and the bad at the same time and deal with it simultaneously, I think that's probably the best way. But
it's true.
But it's hard though. It's hard because sometimes you sit and dwell on these types of things.
Or you get pissed off or something happens. I mean, we started the gardening too. Or Danny, she thought, well, I'm going to plant some seeds from scratch. Danny's my girlfriend, and she's in the show in Vegas as well. And so she decided to plant sunflower seeds and a tomato plant and a pepper plant. And the tomato plant has been a challenge because in the heat here, it's really hot. So you kind of got to find that shade hot thing to grow tomatoes. I don't grow tomatoes. My mom does. I don't. So we've been learning about that. And the sunflower seeds are pretty much, I hear, the easiest thing to grow. If you can't grow those, you're in trouble. And I don't know. So we've had 3 spots around our house. And they're finally blooming now. So it's kind of exciting. It's something to look forward to and something to do. And it's just the simple things that we've learned the last 3 months are sometimes the most important, with this quarantine thing. So, it's kind of nice to slow down. Nice to have a paycheck too, but it's nice to slow down. So.
Yeah, well, and that's what I say. It's a good and the bad. If you can kind of deal with both at the same time. So, all right, man. Well, obviously, we know each other to an extent. We met back in 2015. It's been a while. It's been 5 years.
Yeah.
Which is
work together. Yeah, it's a fun show.
Things. Time flies. So it's but a lot of most of my local people. This show is broadcast live on WCYN's 101.3 FM here in Cynthiana, Kentucky. As well as Facebook and then, YouTube and all that stuff. So, but a lot of the people that are our fans may not know who you are, or even if they have seen you, they don't know a lot about you. So kind of give me a short synopsis on Murray, how you got started, whatever. I have some questions I'm going to ask, but I figured I'd let you kind of intro yourself a little bit.
Well, I'm from Vancouver, Canada, Canadian, and I'm American now, so I have dual citizenship. I've been in the States for a long time now, about 25 years, I guess. And so like anybody, I started as a kid, get a magic kit. I danced professionally at 5 years old for like 11 years. I played music, keyboard, saxophone, accordion. And then 7, 8, 9, got a magic kit, started doing the birthday parties and wanted to tour the world. I thought this would be great. Graduated, went to college. I got a degree in broadcast communications and television and a minor in business and marketing just to have, and And I was going to be on the radio DJ. And at that point, around 17, 18, I was already doing really well, doing birthday parties and corporate events in Vancouver, Canada. It's quite a big city. So to go up north to a radio station and make $800 a month, starting out like you'd have to do in radio, just I didn't see wasn't the right time, because I was already doing well in magic. I thought, well, what the hell? Let's stick with the magic thing. It's kind of cool. Not really a job for me, I loved what I did. So I wanted more money and I wanted to see the world. So of course cruise ships were the thing to do. So I thought, well, let's try the cruise ship thing. So we did that, and I did that for over 18 years, cruise ships, and it was probably one of the greatest things to do because I got to hone my chops. I wasn't very good, but I got lucky, got a gig, and I kept it, for a long time. And then from there, I got to see the world, traveled all over the place, and reality TV came around. I thought, man, it's hard to get on TV. This is an easier way to get on TV because you don't need to be talented. And that's me. So I thought this was great. So I just tried to figure out how to get on TV. And Blind Date was the only reality show on at the time. I think Survivor was just starting, and I didn't really want to eat ants and live in the forest for 30 days, although I did apply for it. And then Amazing Race was starting in. So I went on Blind Date. And then from then, I kind of started my reality career. I'm doing all the reality shows that's out there, from Wipeout to America's Got Talent and Last Comic Standing and all that stuff. So it was a way to get myself out there. I also learned a lot about PR. So now I've been in Vegas since 2002, 18 years now. I was showing the Strip from the Frontier to the Tropicana, Planet Hollywood, all those different places, and doing YouTube and all that stuff. So it's just re-evolving yourself. I think it's how you stay in the business. You reinvent yourself all the time. And if you don't, you become evanescence, and if you do, you become, and you stay in the game, you become Dolly Parton. So it all depends who wants to be who.
Exactly.
And that's the game. A lot of people stop and go, I'm done, got enough money, and I did what I wanted to do. Others go, no, I love the game. Let's just keep figuring this out,
Yeah, no, that's something that, it's a challenge, and sometimes it's overwhelming because you work so hard on being what you are at that moment that when it's time to change, that is sometimes overwhelming. And in today's world, things change fast, like a lot faster than they used to. So you had more time to develop yourself, from my standpoint, in the past, and keep that version of yourself, that knowledge that, well, this works right now. This is what we do right now. This is how marketing works. This is how whatever. And now it's just 6 months down the road. Okay, well, we don't do that anymore, and we change this and we change that, and all these new things. So it's the evolving and adapting has to happen a lot faster, in my opinion, which is I think is very hard to keep up, especially for the older generation. And I'm not saying old, but late 50s, 60s, people that still have a lot of youth inside of them, but maybe not be as technologically advanced and stuff like that. It's hard to keep up, evolve, and adapt with the times now at that age.
Well, it's exhausting, as you get older, you get set in your ways, whether you like it or not. You just do. All of us go, oh, we're not going to be like our parents, and then all of a sudden when you're in your 30s, and 40s, you go, oh my God, I'm a dad, and it's just one of those things, or your mom. And it's one of those things where you sit back and you learn, you don't realize the things you learned as a kid or didn't like or like you either go with or against, because of the way you enjoyed it, liked it, or whatever. And then you get set in your ways going, but in your 30s and 40s, you kind of go, I'm not going to do this. I'll do this. I'm willing to do that. I'm not going to do this. And I think it's a good thing. It's good to know what you like. But also if you want to evolve in a business, and I don't care whether it be the restaurant world serving food or it's the magic world doing a magic trick, or in the car world selling and buying cars or even houses or whatever the hell it is, electronics, if you want to stay relevant, whether you like it or not, you kind of got to at least be knowledgeable. That's why I read the newspaper every morning. I actually read a real newspaper. Like, I think I'm only one of only 3 people in the States that do that. But I don't like using the tablet or my phone for this, because I'm on this 20 hours a day. It's glued to my hands or my face. And there's something about a newspaper I like, because first of all, I see news. Granted, it might be 12 hours old or 24 hours old, but I only get to see what's printed in front of me. There's no rabbit holes to go down and go into this thing or that thing. I see what's there, and I get some news and education. And then so when I sit around and have coffee with my friends, I can go, oh, did you hear about that thing in Atlanta, Georgia? Did you hear about the thing in Orlando that they're doing? What it could be from sports, which I'm not a sports guy, but I read the sports section just to know what's going on. So I think it's important to know what's going on within your environment to be relevant in any capacity. Just have conversation at the coffee shop with some new friends.
Yeah.
It's good to have that intelligence, you know. You don't need to know everything. It's just good to know about it, you know.
Yeah, no, I agree totally. I very much don't like being a complete odd man out in a conversation with and just have no clue, and you just kind of feel like a third wheel or something like that because you're just like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, what are you all talking about? I'm confused. Like, it's so yeah, to have some type of knowledge about know a little bit about everything is very important, I think, and it sets you up for the future too. It's not always about, well, it's just like with the conversation, you know, you weren't planning on having that conversation, but now that you're having it, you have some knowledge to support it. You know, you have some knowledge to be a part of it. And when you learn all the time, you can use what you learned, even if you weren't planning to use it. You can use it in a future situation that you didn't plan for. So it sets you up for the future, which is what I like about learning. I learn a lot of stuff. I develop a lot of skills and things that I may or may not ever use or this or that. You know, I used to work for a roofing company. I put roofs on people's houses, something I never wanted to learn, never wanted to do. I don't want to have that job. It's a terrible job. But a few years ago, I put a roof on my house. So, and it saved me a lot of money. So that's,
knowledge is power, you know.
It's something that, you know, it works. So,
100%.
So I wanted to ask you. So I know, you're a really easy person to find out everything about. So, and that's
bad and different, right?
So so having the questions, it's like, well, just about anything can be found out online or whatever. But I know that supposedly you started out with a Siegfried and Roy magic kit.
That's right.
So you got a magic kit. Did you get that from like your mom or dad, like Christmas or something like that?
I went to Reno on a vacation because back in the day in the 80s, Reno, Nevada was really the place still to go. 70s, a lot of people don't know this. Some people do. 60s and 70s, Reno was bigger and better than Vegas. They offered good deals for Canadians to fly down, or anybody in the Pacific Northwest, or anywhere above there. I think a lot of people on the East Coast go down to Florida. They do the Florida thing. On the West Coast, they go down and do the whole, go to Reno, they go to Yuma, Arizona, whatever that is, Palm Springs, So Reno was kind of like the gambling town. They offered better deals or bus trips or whatever. It was like a whole dinner, bus trip, champagne thing for a week. And it cost like $600 or something, So that was the place to go. So my parents went there a lot. So therefore, they brought back a Siegfried and Roy magic kit. And 4 little tricks, yellow package. And I'm telling you, at the time when I got that kit, I didn't care. I didn't realize I was gonna be a magician. Like anything, it's kind of like, I guess, if you were to, I don't know, get a tool set, to fix one of your sports cars, and all of a sudden you're Jeff Gordon. You know what I mean? And you realize, wait a minute, I would have kept that damn toolkit. I didn't know I was gonna be Jeff Gordon. So, I got rid of the magic kit. It was, a cardboard thing, and I
did the same thing.
Yeah, right. A couple of original pieces still from it, and now I wish I had the whole damn thing because now, I have a career in magic, and it's gone pretty good, And it's kind of nice for my own history to have the thing. So I spent the last 5 years looking for this magic kit online. I just Google it, I could find it on like Pinterest and that people would pin it, but I couldn't find one. So I kept looking. Finally, about 6 months ago, I was just one of my searches again because I love old history. Like I like old stuff. I collect a lot of it, and I found one, and I got so excited. I found 2, and I bought them. I didn't care what the price was. I would have paid $1,000 for it just to have it.
Yeah.
And I did pay a lot more money than it was worth, but it was part of my history. And so now I have one. I actually have one that's unopened, which is pretty cool. So
that's awesome.
Gotcha. A longer version of that. But yeah, I got that, and then I got a second magic kit, which was a more modern one, like an AM PM type kit.
Yeah.
And I think we all saw those in the 80s. And then from there, that was it. Then I found a magic shop, like we all do, our local magic shop. And then you walk in, you go, oh my goodness, this is like amazing.
Yeah, it's an experience that you can explain to people. Like I think the only other people that maybe like you were saying, somebody like with tools or whatever, like maybe walking into Home Depot as a child, if you're excited about that as a child or whatever, then maybe that you can compare it to those. But other people, like you don't. Where do you walk into and just see the whole world open up, and you just see like, it's like the light comes on, like, and it's just
like
you're
a Toys
overwhelmed.
R Us, I guess, for kids, or FAO.
Yeah.
Or whatever your toy store is, or if you like animals, you walk into a pet store and there's bunnies and rabbits and birds.
Yeah.
it's that same, you're going, oh my God, there's a place like this. There's actually a place, and then all of a sudden you just never had enough money to buy everything. Because when you're new in magic, at least for me, you wanted to buy everything. You could not believe you could buy all these secrets for $5, $10, $20 or more, and then go home and learn these and then actually fool somebody. It was just, those days are priceless, because now you don't think, well, I don't think like that. I think, how the hell am I paying a mortgage? That's what I think about.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing.
Yeah, so, but those days are wonderful. I love that,
Yeah, it's something I miss, when I, same deal. Like I don't,
Yeah.
but you don't have that feeling once you develop, once you grow up, once you start doing or whatever, you walk in and you realize how you're not interested in any of this stuff. Like it's
not
like,
at all.
it's just like, you don't ever get that feeling again, no matter where you go. It's just like,
Yeah.
oh, dang, like I used to want everything here and now I can't find anything to spend my money on.
Yeah.
Like
and
it's
exciting. Cups and balls, the Chinese rings, the old classics, the Chinese sticks and the rope tricks and all that crap with the magnets in them and that. And you're just like, this is amazing. Who makes this stuff? Is there little magic elves making this stuff in a hut in the woods? I mean, it's just such a cool thing, and you realize, oh, it's all from China. But no, it's great, and I love those days. That's what makes a magician. A lot of people said the most successful people in entertainment or something random like this, it would be dance, golf, entertainment, tennis. Most people started before they were 10. Those are the ones that are, and I'm not saying you can't be successful if you start in your 20s or 30s, but, between that age of, in your preteens right through to your 20s, that's a lot of time you get to waste on your mother and father's dime or your grandparents' dime, whoever the hell you're living with, that you have this free space of time to learn. We don't always use it. A lot of us just go skateboarding and riding a bike and swimming, and that's what happens. But then there's other people, like I was lucky enough to take up something I'm doing now. I'm sure like you yourself, and Tiger Woods started when he was 2. The Williams sisters who do play tennis, they started when they were young. So it's interesting how, for those of us who are lucky enough to do something we love doing, that's so rare to be successful or somewhat successful. Usually you had to start really young because you had to use those years that you could waste to learn a trade that might bring you money or might not. So yeah, I look back at those years and I go, wow, what are the chances? How lucky did I get?
Yeah, no, it's very I couldn't say that any better, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. No, I agree totally with that. It's and if you can do something like that you're passionate about, and if you can find that passion young, because a lot of people don't find their passion young, and they don't. And speaking of getting like set in your ways as you get older, you get set in your ways by the time you're 20. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things about you. So like when you're 6, when you're 7, when you're watching your first magic show, you're not set in your ways. You're so much molding and so much things that get to happen for the rest of the next 10 years, that you get to develop and whatever. But by the time you're older, you're already, there's a lot less development, and you're a lot more jaded or whatever. Like I can't imagine being 30 and getting interested in magic. For one, it seems corny. Like you're like, you're a 30-year-old magician. Like you just walked into a magic shop for the first time. Like which is dumb because, I'm 31. So it's, but it seems, I know how, you're not, but you're in great shape. So you're good.
I try keeping up with you guys.
You're good. So, so like I can't imagine being 30 and walking into a magic shop and having that feeling. I don't think it would exist the same way. So it's kind of weird. I wanted to ask you, I don't know if this is, we're going to take a commercial break here in just a few minutes, but I wanted to ask you about, your time with Mr. Electric. So that's somebody I've wanted to see perform my whole life. He was still doing stuff when I was very young, and I remember him, Marvin Roy, and I know that you toured with them and stuff. So what kind of give me a little history on that, and then we'll go from there. Sounds
good. You want me to tell you right now? Or
yeah. Sorry, we got a couple minutes.
Okay, great. Well, so it's one of those things where I was lucky enough to meet him in Brush Prairie, Washington, at Stan Gramian's convention, and one of my first conventions, Sean Farquhar is the one that brought me down. He's from Vancouver. Sean Farquhar was my first mentor in Vancouver. He's very good. Yeah, that show we did together, what Sean was in it. That's right. Yeah, and we hadn't worked together for years since I was a kid. So it was very exciting. And then he introduced me to Mr. Electric, Marv and Carol Roy, and they were in Brush Prairie. They were the big stars that day. And we were staying like a Motel 6, you know, very country folk down there in Washington. And we all stayed in Motel 6, Magic Convention thing, you know. And they walked in to the lobby, and they were dressed like they should have been walking into the Beverly Hills Hotel. I'm thinking we're at a Motel 6, you know. And but when you do these conventions, we all know you stay where you are. Whether you're at Apids, you stay in a cool home of somebody's, or depending where you're at. And when they stood there, he looked amazing in the suit. She had her hat on, and I was like, wow, they're not somebody they should be. And Sean Barker was like, that's Mr. and Mrs. Electric. I'm like, pardon me? Like, Mr. Electric. I said, Mr. Electric. I said, the electrician? I said, no, you don't know who they are? I said, no, famous magic act. And I was 16 at the time. And I said, oh, no. And I met them. And of course, I learned all about them. And then they didn't do their act there that time. They were doing their puzzle act that they had come up with. But they showed a video of it. And after seeing that video, I was blown away. And since then, our friendship has been, you know, he's almost like a second father to me. You know, good friends, a mentor. And without him, I wouldn't be in magic.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think from a historic standpoint, he's one of the most, from what I've seen, I mean, I haven't seen everything, but one of the most original acts. Like, you know, back then it was, I mean, he took so much stuff and it was all brand new, but he used a lot of, like, for instance, the light bulbs, I mean, the needles, you know, like it's the same thing, but very few people. I remember when D-Light came out, and all of a sudden, like, the D-Light thing come out, and like the whole world was like, the whole magic world was like, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing thing. I was like, this guy was doing that like 70 years ago. Like, what are you talking about? Do you all not remember Mr. Electric? Do you not remember him doing a D-Light type of deal? Do you not remember him multiplying light bulbs and huge light bulbs and her appearing in a light bulb? And I was like, where have y'all been? Like, why isn't this act still prominent? Like, it was so original and creative for the time. Because now, if you've seen something like that now, it would be neat, but it wouldn't be as
powerful.
Yeah, because who cares? Like, it's
light bulbs were invented in the early 1900s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then in the 40s, that's when he started doing the act. So 40 years is not that long. You know, before we were doing candles and, you know, kerosene lamps and all this stuff. Even on our cars, we had kerosene lamps back in the 1918 cars and 1920. There's kerosene lamps, you know, and they'd convert them over to electric. But yeah, so yeah, he was way ahead of his time, and that's why it was so amazing. And people don't realize you can light a light bulb, and there's tricks you can buy to light a light bulb. But when he lit a light bulb, though, and if you're watching that stage, when he lit that light bulb, you couldn't look at it. That's how bright it would light a theater up. And that's where the mystery was. Okay, say you have a battery on you, say you have whatever we think might have powered those. How can you get something that powerful back in 1950? That would
exactly. Today's
blind you know, without blowing you across the stage. And that's where it was very cool. Like, he really had that. It's like that moment you produce a bird or a dove, and you produce the dove, it's lovely in your hand, but when you release it and it can fly around the theater and come back to you, all of a sudden it just breaks that fourth wall. You know, that's something, you know, I do a dove act, and a lot of people assume that they're battery operated. And it isn't until they fly that they wonder, you know, or that they because which I mean, I don't know, battery operated birds still seems a little weird to me, but it's but people think that, and then I'm like, either way, where did I have the battery operated bird hidden? That's what I tell people. Right,
like,
exactly.
Where did he come from? If he's battery operated or not, where did he come from? I don't know.
You're right.
Okay. So
you're right, 100%.
So yes, no, I was super. I didn't know you worked with Marv and Carol. So like until yesterday actually. So when I was doing some research, and I was like, man, because he's somebody that I've known, you know, my whole life growing up.
Yeah.
And as a child, they were still performing. You know, now that it's non-existent, and I think the younger generation in magic, especially in magic. I mean, in the world, nobody even knows who David Copperfield is anymore. So, but in magic, nobody knows who they are. You know, there's so many people, like even with Johnny Thompson and Pam, like they don't, the younger generations, the people like, I mean, 20 and below, you know, haven't heard of these people and will never know the influence they had, especially in today's technological learn everything online thing. Yeah. You don't have that experience. So
people also don't realize that a magic act like Tom Sony and Company, Marv and Carol, Norm Nielsen, and the list goes on, they were designed to be a 9-12 minute act to open for a star. That's really where that came out of, you know, in vaudeville before the movies and all this other stuff. that was the way it was designed to be an opening act, a very good opening act for a bigger star. And then slowly, as life came around, there's always one big magician at the time: Thurston, Dante, Keller, Blackstone, Houdini. But for the most part, that style of act was an opening act in a review show for a big star. And that's why a lot of the times they weren't remembered, because some of the greatest opening acts in the world could have been the biggest stars. But it's timing, it's luck, it's everything. We had Doug Henning, Copperfield, and the list goes on. But that that's kind of the reason at times, unfortunately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, man, well, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We're broadcasting live on WCYN's 101.3 FM. This is episode 8. We'll be right back.
And we're back to the Quarantainment Podcast. Here's your host, Reed Masterson.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Quarantainment, the socially distant podcast. I'm hanging out with Murray SawChuck, direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. How you doing, man?
Living the dream, my friend. It could not be better for the circumstances, because I got my health, chatting to you, hanging with my dogs and my girlfriend. So, Speaking
of dogs, I wanted to ask you. I know you're a huge animal advocate. I know you do. I know you have dogs, obviously, and I know you do a lot of different, prior to coronavirus, you do a lot of benefit shows and stuff like that to help raise money for animal welfare groups and stuff like that, which we do the same. We have 14 animals, so not all dogs though. But so that's kind of one of the questions I wanted to ask you is I only know about you having dogs. Do you have any other pets at all? Goldfish, whatever.
Why we say we have 5 animals in the house. So we have the 3 Chihuahuas, which are rescues, 1 black cat, and then my girlfriend, Danny. But the black cat is named Kitten. It's Danny's cat. She's had for like 13 years, a rescue. And how she ever got the name Kitten, I'll have no idea. But anyways, so Kitten lives with us now. So they all get along and we all hang out. So we got 4 animals in total right now. So she wants a pig, and I wouldn't mind a sloth. The pig I said no to because I need like an acre, But the sloth we kind of fell in love with when we went to the Tiger King a while ago, and I fell in love with a sloth over in Oklahoma. And they're pretty amazing. I don't know if you ever held a sloth.
No, I haven't, but I watched your whole video, so it looked amazing. That whole Tiger King thing. That's I don't know. That's
ridiculous, right?
It's perfect for 2020.
Yeah,
it's perfect for 2020.
You make it up. It's like a Jerry Springer thing, but it's true. There's no actors. It's all real.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing. I watched that whole video. So, but I love the sloth. That seemed like the most. Oscar how could you not fall in love with that?
Yeah, I know, right? It's such a sweetheart.
So, did you grow up having like animals in the house? Did you grow up like with dogs and cats or whatever?
Yeah, we always had cat. We had, when I was growing up back in Vancouver, we had 2 cats, and they lived forever, like into their, I think, 21 and 19, or they lived forever. And then when we moved to our second house in Vancouver, in an area called Burnaby, which is right beside Vancouver, another big city, we got my first dog when I was like 13. I was a miniature Doberman. And then from then on, I've always had animals. Like when I came to Vegas, I moved to Orlando, had a Chihuahua when I lived down there. And then when I came to Vegas, over 10 years, my transition from going, when I was married to my first wife in Orlando, coming here, starting the Vegas thing, the last thing I had time for was an animal, just trying to get myself together and the show. So I spent 10 years with a roommate, Lefty, my best friend, Doug Leverovich, who's Lefty in my show. And then finally got back to my feet, got shows going and all other stuff. And then I thought, well, time to get a dog again. And then I got into the rescue world, and learned a lot about all that. We're probably around 2010, so 10 years ago. And now it's always a rescue animal for me. There's a lot of great animals out there that need homes, and they're amazing. They just need patience and time, and it's so rewarding when you can give them a better home. So
we have 14 animals. The doves, we have a parrot, we have rats, and we have the dog. And then out of the 14, I think 11 are rescues. I think something like that. So it's I'm a huge animal advocate.
Good for you. That's amazing. I think it's great.
So I had one of the things we like to do every week is we do this thing called Ashton Asks. Ashton's my better half. Yep. Obviously, you know that. So she records some questions that I don't know what she says, but I just play them off. You listen to them. You answer them if you want to. If you don't, whatever. But this is something we've it's been pretty fun. It's like opening up a new present. Just don't know if it's going to be good or bad.
Yeah.
So, here we go.
I'm ready. Very good questions.
Yeah, I think so myself.
Yeah. So the hair product thing, I always tell people the old line. I go, it's amazing. This morning, last night, a friend of mine gave me a half of a Viagra pill, and I put it on my shelf. And it's unbelievable. This morning, I actually fell into my shampoo. I washed my hair, and this is what happened. So that's the showbiz line. The real line is I use Trace of Me, like the hardest hold hairspray. It's cheap and easy. I can buy it in any store. If I fly, lose my suitcase, whatever. If I do a reality show and I'm shooting all day, or any TV shows where I can't really get to my hair all the time, I'll use this H2, this hard hairspray stuff you buy in a cans, yellow can with a gray top on it. I think it's H2 something or other, and it's basically like ice mist from Joico. Excuse me. And it locks my hair, and I don't like using it a lot because it actually, I color my hair, and it's hard enough to keep it from not breaking and looking good. So I only use that when I'm doing a shoot all day, or a photo shoot or something that's really, really important, just because I want it to look right all the time. I don't always have eyes on it because it is part of the brand. But for the rest of the time, it's really Trace of Me, and I just wash it. I always condition my hair. Wash my hair probably once or twice a week. That's it at the most, because I know with many people out there, I know a lot of girls can understand this. Your hair never looks better than like 3 or 4 days after it's not washed. It just has the fullness, and it just kind of sits right. So that's it. And I use leave-in spray conditioner all the time in it because it keeps it soft because the peroxide and all that. So that's the hair thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
And for the Reno 911, yeah, that was fun. That was my first major kind of TV show that I got after the reality kind of thing. Doing Blind Date. I did a lot of indie films where I did walk-ons out of Hollywood and LA just to get my chops for acting and I went in for the audition, and I walked in that blue suit that I wore for so many years, and I did a bit, and I drove in from Vegas, 4.5 hour drive. I did a 2-minute audition in LA, Hollywood, and then I drove back, and literally 2.5, 3 hours back to Vegas, I got a phone call saying, hey, they loved you, they want to book you, are you available in 2 weeks to do this? And I said, great. I called it Reno 911. It wasn't on the air yet. It was the first season. I was the 6th episode of the first season. And I ended up going Reno 911, and that's a weird name for that show. But it wasn't on the air, so I couldn't see it. I didn't know what it was. And so you're gonna play magician. Okay, great. So I get there to the set, and I thought, well, here's another one of these small independent things, And I heard it was for Comedy Central, but it's a pilot or it's not in the air yet, so God knows, right? So I get into North Hollywood, and I drive in that day because I was trying to save money, and so I left at 2 a.m. so I could be on set by 7. Because I knew how long it takes. So it saved me staying in a hotel overnight. And I pull in to the address, and I pull in a lot, and there's no one in the lot. And I parked my truck, and Lefty came with me because he's, like I said, he comes on a lot of my shoots with me because he's kind of the eyes behind the camera for anything I do magical. And they give us a van to get into. I thought, okay. I said, oh, here we go. Here's one of these crappy shoots again. I hop in the van, bring my stuff, my suitcase of tricks, because they told me they wanted me to pull out a bunch of stuff out of my jacket to look like a magician. And I didn't have the crap. I didn't have a rubber chicken. I didn't have fake feather flowers. I had nothing that they needed. I didn't have. Because that's your typical magician stuff. So I actually had to go to a magic store and buy all this crap. Just because I needed stuff. The only thing I think I really had was a deck of cards or something. And even the handcuffs I had to buy, because they wanted me to get out of them. So, and I didn't want to pick a lock. I wanted just to get the hell out of them. So we get there, and all of a sudden in the van, we drive down the street. In the North Hollywood, I'm going, oh boy, here we go. Going to be some crappy little shoot in the lane. We make a right turn on this street that's blocked off. They blocked off 4 blocks of this street, and we make a right turn, and there's 6-star wagons, 4 cop cars, probably a crew of 120 people out. Holy shit, we're in trouble. I said, this is a real shoot. I thought, oh my goodness, this is the real deal. I thought, oh my goodness. And I thought, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. There's no lines. It's all improv. There's no script. They just want me to pull a bunch of stuff out of my jacket and pretend I was drunk. I thought, well, this is interesting. So I get out of the van, and so we'll walk you down to your trailer. I'm like, oh my God, I get a trailer. This is great, like a star wagon. I'm like, this is wonderful. I went camping all my life, but I never had more of an appreciation for a trailer until you're on a set. Because when you get a trailer and you're on set, that means you're doing something right. That's a big deal. So I thought, this is exciting. I'm in a trailer. I've never been so excited to be in a trailer. It's just a little crappy trailer. But when it has that star wagon thing on the outside of it, it just means so much more. And we're walking down the street, and I didn't know the show. I didn't see the characters. I didn't know who they were. It wasn't on the air yet. So I'm walking down, and there's some security guards. One's walking me down to my trailer. I'm walking past another security guard, and there's a guy to my right on his phone with super tight shorts, full, security guard outfit. And I knew it was not North Hollywood and that. And I walked by, and I said to the left, I go, wow, those shorts are tight. I said, man, I can see the year he's born. I'm like, man, those are really tight. I said, you think they'll give him some bigger shorts? And I'm totally naive to it. And I assumed he worked for the security. I thought, well, whatever, security. And then I sit in the trailer, I'm waiting. And they said, well, here's your bit. There's going to be a police officer that pulls you over, blah, blah, blah. Going to be trying to get out of it, and you just pull a bunch of stuff out of your jacket. It's great. We're sitting in the trailer. I didn't know, we were there at 7 a.m. And Doug, whose his stage name's Lefty, says, hey, Mer, we should really start thinking about how you're going to pull this stuff out, because they really give you no direction. Like, you really should have stuff layered in your jacket, so when you pull stuff out, it looks like The Mask, the movie, Mask.
Yeah.
Gary did, except that was all CGI. But so I thought, I guess we should practice this stuff. And because it's not natural to pull stuff out like that.
Exactly.
Thank God he did, because that's exactly the preparation we had was none. So thank God we practiced an hour in the trailer to have my boxer shorts here, cards here, flower here, sponge ball here, so it looked like, So it's noon. All of a sudden, I'm all ready. I'm so ready. Makeup on, hair's ready. And all of a sudden, they're like, hey, breaking for lunch. I'm like, 7 a.m. It's noon, 12:30 now, 1 o'clock. We're breaking for lunch? Like, you got to be kidding me. All right, so great. Take all the stuff off. We go to the craft services, and we're eating. Of course, crew and grips always eat first, because they always got to be back to set first.
Yeah.
And then tell them, which is fine. So I'm literally one of the last ones to get stuff. I get this beautiful steak salad, because now this is a real production. I mean, we're eating well. Life's good. The crew, it literally is about 110 people there. I mean, it's huge. I'm like, I'm so excited. I'm like doing a first real Hollywood thing. I cut into this damn steak. I'm so excited. I'm hungry. I'm tired. Remember, I've been up since 2 a.m. driving to Vegas. I cut into this damn thing, and all of a sudden they go, can we have Murray sausage set, please? I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I've been sitting on my ass since 7 a.m. in this trailer, and literally I didn't even have a bite yet. And I was like, Murray, we got to go. I'm like, yeah, of course we got to go. I don't want to screw this up. We get there, back in the trailer. They're like, you're on set right now. I said, okay, well, I got to get my props. They're in the trailer now. Thank God I rehearsed what the hell I was doing, because I didn't know what they wanted, and they weren't sure what they wanted. They just thought I could pull stuff out of my ass. So then we drive down the street 4 blocks to a little area where they had sectioned off with permits. That was a housing section. They had a cop car behind this other car, which is, I think it was a Sebring. I said, all right, Murray, just get in the car, and Wendy is going to be your cop. Wendy McCovey or something like that. It was her first major thing, too. She's going to be great. Don't worry about her, Murray. She's great at improv. Just go with it. I said, yeah, no problem. I've done improv all my life, so I wasn't that concerned. I just was concerned about how the scene was going to work. Let's just block it. I said, okay, great. So I sit in the car, and blocking it, for people that don't know, it's kind of going through the motions. So you know where to be standing, where the camera's going to be. So I just had the stuff in my jacket, and they just go. I get in, I go, all right, let's do this. And then I talk to her like I'm talking to you now. I pull the stuff out, and we walk to the cop car, and the director comes, okay, great. But if you could do me 2 things, if you could just slow it down a bit, but speed it up. I'm like, what the hell is that? Slow it down a bit, but speed it up. I'm thinking, isn't that the same speed? I just wait. And the second thing is like, hey, could you act a little bit more drunk? I'm thinking, I wasn't even acting drunk. I thought we were blocking it. I was just trying to learn where the hell to move, so I wouldn't hit a camera, I wouldn't run into her, and I could pull the crap out properly so they could see this stuff come out, so they know how their shot would be. I wasn't trying to act yet. I was just trying to learn how the hell where to go. And I said, okay, I'll act a little bit more drunk. I'm thinking, did I even act drunk a lot? Did I look drunk? And when I wasn't trying? And literally we did it 4 takes. Okay, good. This feels good. I feel like this should be a good. Also, the guy goes, great. That's it. We got it. I'm like, that was it? We got it in 4 takes? Like, you And I acted drunk in the last 3 takes. Said, we got it. I'm like, that's it. And Wendy, she's a great actress now, but at the time, they said she was amazing at improv. Well, at that time, I got to be honest with you, she didn't give me a goddamn thing. I was waiting for her to say stuff to me, and there was nothing to go off of. So I just did my own stuff, and she answered a few things here and there. And I'm thinking, it was like doing improv to a cement wall. I'm like, and she's an amazing actress, beautiful woman, and great person. But at the time, I was like I didn't know who she was, and I'm like, she didn't give me anything to work with. But it was a scene, and that was it. And we left. And I thought, well, that was exhausting. I don't think it's going to make it to cut. I don't think that was funny at all. Went home. That was the end of it. 2 months later, Reno 911's coming out. It's called Rio 911, not Rio 911. Okay. And then I got a call from the casting and said, "Oh, you're going to be the 6th episode." I said, "Oh, good." I said, "I'm excited." So we started watching this thing. And the first 2 episodes, I was like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't see the comedy. It's too obvious. And then I'm like, oh, look at that guy. Look, the guy in the tight shorts. That was a security outside of the trailer. I'm like, oh, he's the star of the show. It's Thomas Lennon. He's the actual that created the goddamn thing. And on the way out, I remember running into him in the main trailer, shaking his hand and saying, "Thanks for being a part of this. I really appreciate that." And I was like, oh, he was the guy that created the show. The guy that I looked at and went, wow, his shorts are a little tight for being security. And I had no idea he was the main star of the show and the guy that wrote it. He's also the guy that wrote The Night of the Museum. That's his show. He wrote that whole movie with Ben Stiller and Owen Wilson. And anyways, we're friends now. And Thomas, wonderful. Thomas is a really, really a brilliant guy. But that's the story of Rio 911. And then I was praying to God it would air because I thought, man, they're going to cut this thing off 2 or 3 episodes in because I think it's crap. I don't get it. And I'm like, I just hope it's crappy enough to keep going till my 6th episode. I just wanted to see it air. And then what are the chances? It became a cult TV show. They made a movie on it. Now it's back again. And I've talked about going back on it, for the thing on Quibi now, But yeah, so what are the chances, right? So, but it was fun to do, and it's a great story. And it was my first major, Comedy Central piece that I ever did. And, the rest is history.
That's great. I kind of had the same opinion about it when it first started, all those years ago. Yeah. I was like, I don't understand this. This is, yeah, okay. And then it was hilarious. I mean, it was so well done, and it was stupid. It was just like, but it worked so well, and the chemistry they all had on set and everything was really good. So, but I don't remember I have that on, I think I bought, that's one of Ashton's favorite shows.
Okay.
And I bought that disc set for her. So I don't remember your spots. I'm going to have to go back and watch episode 6.
Yeah.
I'm going to go watch that.
First season. Yeah.
So that's
it was fun. We had a good time. I got a lot of traction off that, and a lot of people, it's crazy how many people watch that. And even to this day, people walk up and go, "I saw you in Reno 911." I'm like, wow, that was a long time ago. I mean, I was 28 or something, 29 when I did that. It was a long time ago. So
wow,
yeah,
that's good stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to. We've got like 3 minutes before we start having to cut it off. So, I wanted to touch on your old CD manipulation act because that's the Murray I know. And one of the things that the impression that I get is you're a comedy magician and you work really well with like comedic mishaps in your show and stuff like that. But the CD act always seemed more of a serious role than it did comedic. I mean, there were funny bits to it, but it wasn't a comedy act. You know what I'm saying? So, did you always try and go the comedy route, or did the CD act with the CD act? Did you try to be more serious and then develop into comedy over? Yeah. That.
Yeah. Well, the CD act with respect to Marvin Roy, Mr. Electric had a great hook, and I wanted to create that because that's how I learned. That's who I learned from. So CD's the newest thing. I created that act in 1989, 1990, and I was working at a store called the Hudson's Bay Company in Canada, which is like a Dillard's here in the States, and or Macy's. And I was working in the radio section. They had cassette tapes, radios, recorders, and the toy section. It was kind of all in that area. And CDs had just come in, and there was one row of CDs, and they were probably about $30. But we couldn't believe when we played them, it sounded like the band was in our house. Like we just could not believe the quality compared to a cassette tape. And I was sitting back there one like Wednesday, Thursday night. It was Dad at the shopping mall because I'd work after school from like 4 to 9 o'clock or 5 to 9 or whatever. And it was quiet, standard shopping mall kind of thing, weekday. And there was a couple of old return CDs that were scratched or didn't work. So I just grabbed them. And at the time, I was trying to come up with an original act of doing horseshoes. because I rode horses all my life and
Okay.
in the rodeo and stuff. And I thought, oh, I'm going to do a rodeo act with horseshoes. And I built a folding horseshoe with a spring, so I could hold it in my hand and then it
Okay.
would pop out. And I thought, oh, I'll produce a saddle, and if I get really famous, I'll produce a horse. It'll be a whole thing. And that was where I was going with that. And then all of a sudden, the CDs came around. Well, the CDs have the same round back as like a horseshoe.
Yeah.
So the grip was the same, and I grabbed the CD, and I thought, oh, here we go, and that was it. And I started practicing with the return CDs, and I did a trick to the other associate there, a buddy of mine at the time his name was Chris, and I pretended to do a Vangean coin move, like a Downs palm or what you want to call it, a Tenkai palm, and he was like, "Where did it go? That's unbelievable." I said, "No way," and I couldn't believe it. I had this huge thing behind my hand. I thought, you know what? That's it. There we go. And after that night I went home and didn't sleep for 3 days. And I wrote down every trick, like Marv did with his electric act, that you could do and turn with CDs. You know, like any card manipulation. And then I did the run of that. And then I did some competitions. I lost miserably because Juliana Chen with the card act came out. I thought, well, I'm just going to produce 150 CDs like Juliana Chen with her cards. And that was nice, but it got boring after 6-7 minutes of it because it was just CDs. It was lovely, but it was just CDs. So I watched Jason Burns act and a few other people that was in that world that I was competing with, and I go, why are they so much more commercial? I went, I need bigger things. So I had a disco ball in, a ghetto blaster, a big radio, a CD castle, like a big card castle, and all these things to make it more exciting. A costume change, I added in the blue suit. I started really branding, and then the hair started going up. I didn't wear glasses at the time. And because I was a magician then, and all of a sudden, I ended up winning 21 awards of this thing. It was the newest thing. It put me on the market, made me very famous at the time as a magician in our world. And then I realized we could only be 1 or 2 magicians on a TV show. I thought, well, how the hell do I get on more TV shows? And I realized if you're funny, comedians always work. You can be the crazy neighbor next door on a TV show, the crazy cousin, anything. You can be a host. So I thought I got to learn how to be funny. And a buddy of mine on a cruise ship, Jerome Kelly, he was a comedian, very funny comedian. And he said, Murr, you got to start doing comedy. You're funny. I said, no, I'm a magician. I'm not a comedian. He said, why don't you just be an entertainer? He said, why don't you just be an entertainer and do both? The key is to entertain. I don't care what you do for an hour. As long as that audience is entertained, that's the key. And that changed my life. That was back in my early 20s. And I thought, you're right. So I got a hack comedy book, one of those books. And I think the one I got was a one-liner book from Harry Allen, from Daytona Magic. And I took these hack lines and dropped it in my show just to figure out how to be funny. And once you get that laughter, it's addictive. It's unbelievable. It's very addictive. And I thought, that's it. And then I had to figure out how to make tricks funny, not just do a trick and be funny. I had to make the whole thing funny. And then that's where it went. And that's the reason, because I wanted to be on TV a lot more and be more, more of an entertainer. So there you go.
Gotcha, man. Well, dude, Murray, it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. I really appreciate it. I hope everything gets up and going real soon back for you in Vegas and everybody else, obviously, in the entertainment community. I hope we can all get back on stage really soon. We need to do this again, though, because we haven't actually talked really.
You guys are phenomenal magicians. And, thank you for having me on your show, Reno.
Good deal. All right, man. Well, again, I truly appreciate it. We're going to have to cut off here really, really soon. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 8 of QUARANTAINMENT, the socially distant podcast. We've been chatting with my good pal, Mr. Murray SawChuck, direct from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is, like I said, been episode 8. Thank you guys again. We'll see you next week.
You've been listening to QUARANTAINMENT, a socially distant podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow, retweet, share, comment, and anything else you can do from at least 6 feet away. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay home, and above all else, stay creative. Join us next week. Same time, same place, same host, new interviews. For more info on the entire QUARANTAINMENT series of events, visit mastersonsmagic.com.
Okay. It helped when I could hear this the last time. I didn't hear it the last time. Okay. Yeah. 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 That's, that's fine. Whatever works. Yeah. No, I get. It's got to be locked and loaded. Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.